Good afternoon, everybody. Today is January 7th, and it is a lovely day here in NuPath Nation. We have, as an organization, been distracted a little bit this week with something that we go through once every 3 years, and that something is called CARF. Now, people who've been with the organization for some time know what CARF is all about, and even if you don't really know the purpose of it, you probably know it because everybody scurries around, and sometimes they're here a little late, making sure that the paperwork's up to date, and you get the feeling something's in the air. Well, this year's been quite a bit different because, of course, we have the pandemic, which we will talk a little bit about at the end. The pandemic, that is. But this year, our CARF survey is being conducted virtually. Now, an organization, NuPath size, and Ted informed us yesterday at the orientation meeting that NuPath has been CARF accredited since 1984, I believe he said, and it's in Massachusetts. It's an accreditation body. It's an accreditation that we receive, we seek out, we pay for, and we receive that reviews a whole host of standards that would be ideal in a well-run organization. And in Massachusetts, it's required if you have day habilitation programs, but many organizations choose to become CARF accredited because they feel it provides a strong foundation of excellence. And I got the idea yesterday when after we had completed our virtual orientation. I think it was in, I forget now if it was Zoom or it was Teams maybe. In talking to the team leader, an organization our size, we usually have about 3 people that we'd fly in and put up in a hotel, and they'd be driving around and looking at our programs. I said this yesterday in my little promo. But Debby Graham is the team leader. Debby is the executive director for Centerforce. This is an employment agency in Washington State. And I have asked her to join us today to talk a little bit about CARF and about the process of going virtually. There she is. Hi, Debby.
Hi, how are you?
How are you?
I'm good.
You're
Working very hard for you.
Working very hard for me. Now, the whole thing seems weird. You're in your lovely home, not too far from Puget Sound. You told me yesterday. Yep. With your beautiful dogs, your adorable dogs running around. And you are evaluating, along with, I should mention, Nicole Jewell and Tracy Price from Virginia, I think, in Kansas. Yeah, I think I got that right. Also, virtually, I'm joining you as team leader, and you're doing all of this remotely. I want to ask first, what it's been. Well, first, why don't we start by telling people that maybe don't know what is CARF, and maybe just give us the elevator pitch of why we would want it, and what you think it brings to an organization, the value it brings.
Okay. Well, CARF stands for the Commission of Accreditation on Rehabilitation Services, but like most people, they've kind of shortened that, just go by CARF. So it's actually an international accreditation service. So CARF not only accredits agencies in the United States, they also do South America, Europe, Asia. I know we have some organizations in Scotland and Ireland. So it's really, global. The idea behind it is it sets some standards. So like I think you mentioned, Dan, is if you want to be a quality organization, there's some minimum standards that you should meet. And then CARF assists organizations to meet those, but then also encourages them to exceed those expectations or standards. So that's kind of the nice thing about it. The unique thing about CARF is all the surveyors are peers. So every one of us are currently working in the field. So I personally am the CEO of an organization in Washington. Tracy and Nicole do work in their organization. So I think that brings a really nice blend to the survey because we know what you're going through,
Mm.
especially, now in COVID. So we're all going
That's
through the
right.
same thing.
I think it's been referred to, Ted, sometimes I hear him call it a consultative model. The idea being that you're not just coming through to, give us a passing grade, but to help us maybe introduce us to new ideas, to introduce us or expose us to best practices. How many surveys would a typical CARF surveyor do in a year, would you think? Or how many do you do?
Well, we're required to do three, which, is a challenge when you're running your own organization and you're flying somewhere. It's been a little easier in terms of that doing these digital ones. So I try to do 4 to 5 because I do primarily the admin piece, but every fourth survey I want to do the program piece. So I stay up to speed with that. And so that's a personal thing. Some surveyors do their three, some do one every other month. So it really kind of depends.
And the idea is that you are seeing all these, the behind the curtain, so to speak, or how how the sausage is made, maybe in some of these agencies that other, or you might not be able to see just from a peripheral perspective, and you kind of you curate this whole collection of best practices, things that you've seen that organizations maybe are doing well, that are worthy of sharing, and so Ted, I know, is always saying, "Oh, I hope we get some good ideas from our CARB survey," because it does cost money. Let's face it,
Oh,
and
sure.
as anything of excellence, if something is worth something, you have to pay for it, and it's something that we're proud of. It's something that we prominently feature on our website and on any of our branding or literature. Um, has it been your experience that you've seen some interesting things as you've been out and about, and do you think it's made you a better CEO of your own organization?
Absolutely. And it's interesting because my board requires me to be a CARF surveyor. And so once I started doing that, I loved it because I could see all the cool things that other organizations are doing. And then I could also see how well my organization is doing because we strive for excellence. And so if there's an organization that might not be quite up to all the standards, I can look to mine and say, hey, that's awesome. And I have seen some amazing things happening. And I'll just say your new Navigate Life app is phenomenal. I love that. It's very interesting. I was sharing, I think, with um, one of your tech folks, Greg, maybe, about an app I saw where for people with visual impairments, and they
Mm.
just carry a little beacon thing around, and everywhere they went in the building, it would verbally tell them where they were. They had adapted their what do you call it, vending machines. So they just hold their little QC reader up there and it'll tell them what the item is and if they want to buy
Mm.
it and how much it was. So, and then this organization was working with community sites to see if they could have those beacons in like the library or the social security office, places people would have to go. So
Mhm.
that technology piece is really, really impacting people's lives.
Yes, it is. I'm glad you mentioned navigating life. I know I have you for a very short time because you're busy and you probably have to get back to writing all of our commendations and all the good things about us. um,
Yeah.
but so our team is. I'm very, very proud of the staff that work for NuPath, of our leadership team, and of the staff that just our nurses, our clinical team, the staff that work in programs, even like forget COVID, just day after day, year over year, and these are the people that make it happen. And could you, how would you be able to give us a sneak? Like, are we going to pass this time? Are we going to do okay with CARF? Because I feel that it's the hard work of our staff that have maintained a high caliber of excellence, even in the face of some of the most daunting challenges that we've ever experienced. And I'd love to. I'm a little biased, I guess, because I just think they're the best on earth. But maybe you, as an outsider looking in, can tell us, like, how are we doing, and how do we maybe stack up against others?
Sure. So first I'll say kudos to you for the quality of staff you have. And I know how hard it can be, and especially going through this. So kudos to your staff. Kudos to your leadership team. So I can't tell you how that you're going to get an accreditation. That's not my in my
I thought I'd
purview.
try. I thought
I
I'd try.
know everybody tries. That is CARF's decision. So we gather the information, but I will say you're a quality organization. And I say this to everyone I survey. You know you're a good organization. You probably know better than anyone else if there might be an area you're not meeting, or you feel like, wow, we're doing awesome. So I think you guys and your team can answer that question for yourselves.
Yeah. Well, then I'm going to answer it. Yes, we're fantastic, and in fact, we're the best. So I just in
There you
case
go.
in the couple minutes that I have with you left, I am very interested. I've been interested in seeing how this whole virtual sort of model is unfolding. I think I mentioned during our orientation, the kickoff meeting yesterday, that Massachusetts just very recently, the Office of Quality Enhancement, is that what they call themselves now, issued a kind of a release or a statement of purpose that talked about how they were going to be resume licensing. It was completely came to a halt during when last March when the pandemic hit, and they haven't licensed any organizations for now going on 10 11 months. They're going to be starting that up again, and it's going to be kind of a hybrid or some virtual stuff. How long did it take CARF to get up and running virtually? And how do you think it? I'm going to give you the last three questions, so you can use your time if
Okay.
you want. And how do you think it's working from a virtual perspective? And what do you think it portends for the future? As far as, are you ever going to go back to getting on airplanes, going through security, and going places, or do you think this is the way it's going to be going forward?
So I will say that CARF, I felt really rose to the challenge. They worked very hard to get this digital review set up. So kudos to them for that. Um, as far as going forward, I anticipate that we will have a hybrid. It may be that some organizations, they want to continue this process. I'm not sure, because I don't think CARF knows either, because we don't know how long it's going to go on. I know in our state, we've been doing our site reviews or licensing virtually since probably May. So
Oh,
our
really?
counties, yeah, they stepped up and developed it, and so I think they go well. It's a lot of work up front, uploading all of the information. So kudos to Ted for all of that. He's done a tremendous job
Yeah.
and very organized.
Mhm.
Um, it's you don't get the feel, and I guess all of us are in the field of human service because we like people, and so that's the part I personally miss, because I don't get the energy and I can't shake the hand of the people you're serving, and those are the things that I enjoy a lot about surveying. So I personally, once it's safe, will get back on a plane and go out because I enjoy that part of it. But I can expect that maybe it will be a hybrid
Mhm.
going forward. Yeah.
You see, you can't, talk to people, see their faces, shake their hands, but you also can't look inside microwaves or open fridge doors. I was walking around yesterday, and I mean, our place I think usually looks great, but in a typical circumstance, they would do a site, tour, and I think that happened virtually yesterday. But I was looking around, I was like, oh, good thing it was virtual. No, there was nothing that bad, but. It's not quite the same when you think about it, and
Yeah.
it's much easier. Like right now, you can see where I'm sitting in the chaos around me, but see, does it look pretty behind me? You know, it's my point is that it's just there's something that I think we miss when we're just strictly digital, and as even though it's very convenient, people don't have to leave. They're in their homes. They're they're nice and safe and everything. Part of what I think we try to do that's sort of fundamental to our sort of psyche is really trying to get people out and get them into challenging situations, expose them to risk, new experiences, and sometimes that doesn't come easily just from the safety of your living room, or
Right.
within four walls. And so I just wondered, a group like CARF International that is, probably about as with it as any organization as far as being, really, sort of, forward thinking, if they were thinking about that, if there was any discussion about whether it was going to continue or not. I'm worried that we're going to end up all being these shut-ins. Never want to,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
you know, you know.
Yeah. Well, I know CARF prefers the in-person because again, you get to meet the people, you get the feel of the organization, you can actually see what's going on. I mean, we're human service. That means we like people, we like that interaction, we like that time. So I don't think CARF will ever go to only virtual.
No,
Yeah,
yeah. But in
yeah.
the last 60 seconds or so, that you told me you have just a few minutes left, but how are you doing as in Washington with your COVID? Do you think that you're going to be getting vaccines soon? Is it something that you feel is happening quickly? I know it's a complete shift of topic, but just out of curiosity, being on another coast, and how are things there with you folks with the pandemic?
Well, good and bad. We have been virtually in lockdown since March. Our governor has taken a very conservative stance. And in the summer, we opened up a little bit, which is nice because we had good weather. But we are in Washington; it rains a lot.
Yeah.
So now we're kind of back down in lockdown. However, we have probably less than 4,000 deaths in our state,
Wow.
across the state. Now we have a higher, we do have more cases and things, but our deaths, when I look compared to other states, are like low.
Yeah, we
So
have 12,800 right now in Massachusetts. So
yeah, and it's a mix. However, some of our economy is impacted. So, I feel bad for the small business owners and restaurants and that sort of thing. So they are struggling the most. Um, and of course, when your state budget gets impacted, your funding gets impacted. So I watch that because I want to make sure that we get funded. So
And did the vaccine seem within reach for you guys? I mean, do you feel like it's being they're getting out and getting into people's arms?
we've done some vaccines for frontline workers. I think it's very slow. As a matter of fact, I was going to email my governor and say, "Hey, where's our vaccines?" So I think it's a little slow here, and I'm disappointed about that.
Yeah, we're all wondering about the pace. Well, Debbie Graham, you have been fantastic. I want to thank you so much for your time. I want to thank you and your fellow surveyors for the opportunity to showcase our organization and to let you see what we do, and for that 3 year. Oh no, you couldn't tell us that yet, but
Correct. Yeah.
but
I
but
will
for
say
the opportunity.
it's been great. You are a great organization. I think all of us have enjoyed um, seeing what you're doing. So yeah, kudos to you guys for
Well,
that.
I really enjoyed talking to you today. And yesterday, I could have talked to you for many hours, but that's not going to surprise anybody watching today because I like to talk to people. But I really appreciate your time and all that you bring, not just to NuPath, but to our industry and to the population in general, and for making such an important difference. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Take care.
All right. Bye bye. All right. So you heard it right from her. We're gonna get a 3 year. No, I'm kidding. I shouldn't keep making that joke, but we probably will because we're great. And why are we great? We're great because of all of you guys. I just feel the need to do it. I know I said yesterday in my little promo, if you watched it, that I was told that I was a little bit, even with a Christmas tree behind me, I was a little gloomy on New Year's Eve. I didn't really mean to be, but then John Rossi called me and said, "Well, we thought Dan needed cheering up." And so I thought, well, maybe I really was. Um, it is so here's the figures. I'm just gonna look down. 12,800 dead in Massachusetts. You heard Washington State is just 4,000. United States now we're up to 361,000. 361,000 guys. It's so much. And then worldwide we have 1.89 million. Um, So we need to keep wearing our masks, managing our social distance, doing all of those things. I'm worried that we're going to get another surge from the holidays, but that will become self-evident as we go forward. We're still waiting breathlessly for details about the vaccines. Um, my mother in assisted living should be one of the first people to get it, and she's not yet. Although I know that um, some other people on the team who has a mother also in a long-term facility has gotten hers. So it is happening. It's just not happening as quickly, and we will you'll be the first to know when they're available. And again, we are just expecting that NuPath is going to anybody that can will be in line on the day when it's available. You know, we're gonna wrap this up, but I want to conclude by acknowledging that um, the news has been very troubling over the past 24 hours or so. And just listening about what happened in Washington, D.C., the Capitol building, um, and it occurred to me that through this entire year, and beginning with the pandemic and with the overarching anxiety around the general election, with the deep, deep and ugly rift that has seems to have split our country right open. It occurs to me that we here at NuPath have remained as united as ever. I I think it's so significant to just take a moment to pause and to to recognize that that is not an accident, because left to the regular the currents of what's going on all around us, the all the disruption and the messaging and what we're hearing and just the anger and vitriol that it's almost impossible to escape, that somehow this organization, this staff, all of you have just, without question, without hesitation, joined hands, and we're getting this done. We are going to get through this together. And I was thinking, maybe we need to send cubics down to DC, and maybe they need a little of our unity, because I just never want to take that for granted, and I never want to take for granted what it means to the people we support, and to our families, and to service coordinators, the department, and everyone that we work with, that we remain unified, that we collaborate, that we share, that we're working together in a way that is moving us forward, that is keeping people safe to the best of our ability, and that is predictive of us getting to the other side with spectacular outcomes. So you guys are doing awesome, and I wanted to tell you that, and I want you to know that it's recognized and it's valued, and it is deeply appreciated by me and by NuPath's board. And if you got somebody near you, have them give you a pat on the back, and then give them one. And if you can't, give yourself one somehow. This is a special place, and I'm so humbled and honored to remain a part of it. All right, guys, we got this. Wear your masks. Talk to you next week. Bye, everyone.